Guys, Tony here, and it is Wednesday afternoon. I got some interesting news though. Once again, I titled the vlog the wrong thing yesterday. I called that yesterday's vlog, but in the video I said Tuesday. But so I was out driving last night. A couple things happened. Funny story. I picked up a gentleman from the Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids, and getting ready to take him home. He had been at the hospital all day with his daughter, and we were getting ready to merge onto the highway. We had a green arrow to merge. Okay, the opposite side of traffic had a red light, could not go, and I was coming up the little hill there. I saw a cop on the other side. We're getting ready to merge, because we had the green arrow to turn. I start to turn. She shoots out at me. Well, I had my windows down, because it was a little hot last night, and I was like, "You stupid," and I was cussing. Then she lights me up, pulls me over. She goes, "Do you know what you did wrong?" And I said, "No. Do you know what you did wrong?" I was like, "You did not yield the right of way to me." So then, she calls for backup or whatever, takes my insurance and license and registration, goes back to her SUV. A few minutes later, the other cops, comes up to the side of my car, and we're talking for a minute. And I told him, I was like, "Hey man, look at her dash cam footage. You'll see that her light was red." And he goes, "Well, we'll be back up with you in a minute." And he goes back and talks to her. And about 10 minutes later, the driver in the back seat, or the rider in the back seat, he was like so apologetic. And I told him, I was like, "It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It was her." And so she comes back up, the female cop, and she goes, "Well, here's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna let you off with a warning." And the the part of me that doesn't like to be wrong wanted to be like, "You're gonna let me off with a warning? I'm gonna let you off with a warning." Because literally, she could have caused an accident, and that guy was sitting on the passenger side, and that's where she would have hit. So I told her, I was like, "All right, well, I guess I wasn't paying attention then, although I could have sworn I had a green arrow." She goes, "Well, you didn't." And I was like, "Okay, well, I do apologize." And she let me go. And then, anyways, so that story, it's a lot funner when you're using your hands and explaining the situation, and you can really drag it out. But I just wanted to share that story with you guys. And then I was getting ready to go home, and I left the app on when I was heading down a main strip in Grand Rapids, heading home. And I got one last pickup in an apartment complex, and it showed up Panera Breads, and I was like, "The Panera Breads here in Grand Rapids." The guy goes, "No, it's the one in Holland. Is that a problem?" I said, "You know what? That is perfect." And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, so I was like, that, or about 2:30, 2:45, somewhere in there. It was pretty early night for me actually. So we start heading back to Holland, and I told him, I was like, "Well, I live in Holland." I do. And so we get down here, and we're chit chatting for a minute. And he goes into his job, and I swing by my old job at the Holland Sentinel, and I was, shooting the shit with a couple of my buddies, and my old boss Scott. He asked me, he goes, "You still want, a route?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me think about it. What route is it?" And it was my old route. And I told him, I was like, "Well, talk to the delivery manager." And he's the guy that oversees everything. His name is Tang. And I was like, "Just shoot me a text in the morning, and we'll go from there." And so they did. They said, "Well, hey, yeah, you can come back tonight." And so I was being a dick because of the way they let me go. Like, I send my boss. Well, I sent him a text message, and I was like, the original text message was, he said I was having car problems. Like, when I first started doing this, I had that old looking station wagon. I got my newer Civic back, and anyway, so he's like, "Due to the recent car problems you've had, we've decided to let you go off of all your routes immediately." I instantly lost 800 $800 every 2 weeks. So when they offered me a route back, last night or earlier this morning, and he texted me, and I was texting with Tang. I was like, "Due to the BS that happened with the way I was fired, I'm gonna have to decline." And he goes, "Oh, he called me a dick." And a few hours later, I woke up, and I sent him a text. I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "that was a bad joke on my part." He was like, "I was just about to call you," and he goes, "Revenge is evil," and he's a little Vietnamese man, and so he's like, "Well, can you still come in tonight?" I was like, "All right, I'll be in." And I told him, I was like, "I might not be in until about 3:30 or 4 o'clock." There goes, "Every night or just tonight?" And I was like, "It might be every night. Just depends on how busy I get doing Uber." Um, So at this point, I'm going back to my old route at the Holland Sentinel. But I told him, I was like, this time it can only be one route. It can't be, 6 routes, because I'm making all right money with Uber every night so far. Like last night, I didn't hit my goal. I only made $89, and it was 89 even. But still, that was $89 I made in one night. And then the third party payment thing, Daily Pay, they sent me an email saying, hey, uh, you completed your first week of, driving with a really crappy thing where we hold 70% of your money and give you like barely 30%. But now they said that they've changed my account where they'll give me 90% of my money and just hold 10% until, it gets paid into Uber. So now I won't get like $20 a day. I'll get, out of $100, I'll get 80, and then the other 20 will be that following Thursday. So that worked out. Things are starting to kind of go kind of well. I did get one disheartening phone call this morning or afternoon from my guitar place. Because I was a little bit behind on my payment. They've been very gracious with me, and they told me, they're like, hey man, right now you're 49 days overdue, so you got to get that payment before 60 days. And I told them, I get, like, Uber's going to finish paying me out the rest of my money, which is like $360 on, 280 on either Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow. I thought maybe it'd be there today, but it'll probably be there tomorrow, maybe Friday. That's what I told him. I was like, it'll either be there Thursday or Friday, and I can make that payment, and then I just gotta make my car payment. I've already made enough this week to cover my car payment, so that'll be easy. And then I'll be going back to my old job tonight. So yeah, I mean, things are working out pretty good so far, and I'm really glad I stumbled upon the Uber thing. I think it really woke me up. I'm gonna have to clean my car a lot more now when I go to work, which kind of sucks. But and I'll only be working for a couple hours a day at the Sentinel, so it won't be too crazy. My longest day might be Sundays, um, so my Saturday nights might be earlier than what I'd want them to be. But that, it'll be all right for me. It won't be too big of a deal. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm getting ready to go back out there tonight. I gotta try to get out there kind of early so I can get as much time in to make as much money as possible, to then go back to the Sentinel. But all right, guys. So I will see you tomorrow and all that good stuff, and I will catch you later. See ya.